It is interesting, after we went there, to see that there is a conflict, clearly between outdoor media and the image of cities. Like 100 cities account now for 30% of the world economy and all its innovation. And so it is really important for cities to compete and to attract, the best talent, and in order to do that, to create the best environment. On the other hand, 75% of the population, will be living in cities by 2050, and that creates a huge opportunity for the billboards industry because that will be a lot of people in a small amount of space. From Sao Paulo, we decided, to expand, the filming and our work, and we went all around the world, in different capitals. And what we got, from people there is that the tendency of commercial media is to erase the identities of cities. Therefore, the reaction, that we can see everywhere. The problem, it existed before. In 1965, the Lady Bird Johnson Act, was passed by President Johnson because there was excess, in the way the billboard industry was displaying their material. And so the law controlled, the number of billboards. It also rewarded the billboard industry, losing, some of the billboards. And billboards would be allowed in commercial, areas. And everybody thought, oh, that's great law. It's fantastic. And it needed to be, to be done. But what we found out in the movie is that the billboard industry does not take no for an answer. And they're really incredible, really amazing, actually. And in LA, there are 4,000 illegal billboards. That's one of them. And one morning, this chiropractor went, into his office, and he realized that suddenly his window has been blocked by this huge billboard that had been installed in the middle of the night. And as he tried to complain, he was evicted, from the building. But it does not stop there. Like across, the way from that building, the billboard industry in the middle of the night also cut out like full-grown trees on city property just to clear up a little bit, the view of this magnificent billboard that they had just installed. In Mumbai, it's even worse. But what we found out also is that the billboard industry, even though it represents like a very small, business, around the world, has incredible power, political power. Like in Virginia, for instance, the legislature allowed billboard owners to cut or move public landscaping near a billboard. Nice. In Florida, the legislature passed a law that prohibits trees that are part of a roadway beautification project from being planted in a billboard view zone. I love it. Where do they come up with those terms? But the biggest win for the billboard industry was in 1978 when they passed on the cost of removing billboards to us, the taxpayer. That was brilliant. Like in this case, in New York, they just built this incredible, garden. They planted this incredible garden on this, elevated railway station. And in that particular case, the billboard that you see on the back should not be there because there's no billboard allowed, near public parks. Under the Beautification Act, that billboard would have been removed. Today, it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions to remove this billboard. And financially strained cities, can do that. But it doesn't stop there, because the deeper, we went into this study, the more we realize that cities have to fight the billboard companies in court. Because the billboard company attack, the cities to protect their illegal inventory. Or they challenge rulings like against digital media. Or the cities have to sue, those billboards company to take down, illegal billboards or to pay the fines that are being owed to the city by those guys. And so it's like, it's really the Wild West. And nobody can enforce, the law. And so now we have the digital billboards. And it's a huge fight because we have 2,000 digital billboards, and the industry want to transform 400,000 regular billboards into digital billboards. Everybody knows all the research that has been done, except the one done by the billboard industry, are showing that billboards are dangerous. Digital billboards are dangerous. But the carbon footprint, and that's a good one, of one digital billboard is equal to the carbon footprint of 13 American homes. And more than 2,000 billboards already in place, like I said, will be expanded to 100,000 of them. So you can do the math and see the impact on the environment. This is not just an American phenomenon. It happened everywhere, like in Casablanca, everywhere we went, in the most beautiful places, like in Ljubljana, in Slovenia, you see this incredible onslaught, of billboard pollution.
Their memories of their childhood. It may just be a delight in color. It may be a revolt against having your world become homogenized.
I thought that was incredible. This is Lady Bird Johnson that helped pass, the Lady Bird Johnson Beautification Act, and I thought this is really a profound statement about, where we are, as a people, and how far, we've come. In India, they posed the problem in a very different way. They said, which class of society imposes a commercial message onto others? Like in Mumbai, you see, this type of things that clearly create a revolt. But the revolt, was started from different places. First, by the street artists, that felt, like Shepard Fairey here with his logo, that felt that the commercial media was drowning their own voices. It was started by an organization in New York called Public Ad Campaign that repaint illegal billboards and replace it by art. And it's fascinating what they do. They call this street takeover, and they're doing it like across the world. So here you can see how they repaint, an illegal billboard in New York, and they create entertainment around those, repainted billboards. Those guys go to jail for enforcing the law. But also the revolts, come from places that we are not familiar with or that we don't know about, that are, great examples like Houston, for instance, that realized in 1982 that their city with 17,000 billboards were drowning under the commercial, media, and they decided enough is enough. And then big business, activists, politicians, regular citizens just got together and kicked all the billboards out of the city because they felt there was a business case for planting trees. The result of this is that since 1982, Houston has attracted some of the most prestigious, companies that have their headquarters now in Houston. The retail sales went up 100%, and 1 million people moved to Houston since 1982, and we all know it's one of the most successful and prosperous cities in the United States. So there is a case, to replace billboard by trees and to fight, visual pollution. A balance, need to be achieved. I think between business and people, I think we need to use our imagination. I think we can now start to look at the future and say, how far have we gone? How much excess have we created, and can we fix it, going forward? Like in a small city in Saint-Nazaire, in the west of France, for instance, that's a great idea. They brought Felici Varini, an Italian artist that created some art in an industrial zone that was not very visited, and that was like abandoned, by people. But what happened is that if you went on top of a roof, in this industrial zone, you could see all those species coming together magically, like into a big painting. And it attracted like tens of thousands of people. And obviously, this message, was really big online. And I was thinking, you don't have to put a logo. If you do something that's really so interesting, people will talk about it and you'll get credit, from it. On the Champs-Élysées, in August, they transformed the Champs-Élysées into a farm, which allowed, kids that can't get out of the city. There are some poor kids in Paris that don't leave the city, were able, to experience, what a farm, looks like in the middle of the city. So as a designer, I like to see the world, in nature. And being from a farm, I can see the beauty of it. And that's what I want to recreate. And maybe I'm limiting myself, except that when I went to Shanghai last October for the World exhibit under the theme Better City, Better Life, I saw all those projective ideas about cities and how they were bringing farms inside the cities because we're going to have to grow our food. The cities are going to be so big and it's going to be too expensive to bring the food in. And I thought, what's going to be the role of brands in those future cities? Can we start thinking about how we can be part of the solution here? Can we create beauty instead of ugliness? Can we be part of the solution, not the pollution? It's not time to give, our cities back to our children, and not only that, but create cities or change cities for the future that will be adapted for the children and their future. Gilberto Kasabi gave me a few tips which I thought were really interesting. The first thing he said is the city identity should not be defined by visual pollution, but by people. And then he said when you cover a community with commercial messaging, then people stop caring about their neighborhood and all other forms of pollutions, are coming in. All pollutions are equal, he said. All pollutions are equal. Noise, air, water, visual, they reflect the type of society that we have become, and we need to change this. And he said, the easiest form of pollution that you can attack and eradicate quickly is visual pollution. That's what I did in my city. I got reelected, I got credit, and I got the credit for handling much bigger form of pollution because people believed that I could do it. And I think that brands could do something. They can fight visual pollution and get a tremendous amount of credit because people, are there waiting for someone to do about this. And what can you do? There are three things, three simple things, and easy things. The first thing, don't support illegal or non-conforming billboards that blight our environment. Why should you finance illegal venues? Don't work with any billboard companies that cut trees. That would really quiet them down a lot. Because let's not forget, they're doing this with our money. And then don't sponsor any billboard companies that use the court to protect their illegal activities. You can go in Google and you'll find out it is a world in itself. And I was so surprised when I found out that I said, they are doing this with my brands. They are making my brands look bad. We have to stop this. There's a gift that you can give to people right away. It's to give them their city back. It's to give them their public space back. It's a small thing. It's a little thing. It would have such a huge impact. You cannot imagine. And you cannot imagine the goodwill that your brands will get out of this. I have a pledge. I think it should be our pledge. And I'm looking forward to this conference with such great passion.